Hey, Reed. Hi.
Oh,
So
Hi,
David,
Frode.
we're coming in. So I cannot see what you're holding up with your hand.
Oh, you can't. Oh, well,
all
never
these
mind.
people
Yeah.
on time. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Ah, Frode, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to see you, and so great to see Mark D's iPad 3. Haven't seen him in a while.
No, you haven't seen me in ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny with the names. I kept having my wife's name come into my Zoom because she did it once. And there we go.
Hi, David.
Hey,
So we are recording now, so I hope that's okay. Peter
Yeah.
Wasilico cannot make it today. So that's one of the reasons we are recording. Now we're recording. I have to fix my hair. Gosh, lockdown hair is long. And look at you guys, very short hair. Well, not you,
Well,
Joey.
well-
You tie it up,
George,
huh?
you don't have to worry.
yeah. You look like the little Dutch boy that put his finger in the dike. So,
Oh, David,
Me or you? I don't know the Dutch boy. So
don't you know the story about the little boy who put his finger in the dike?
no.
Oh, in Amsterdam. Yeah, that's
Well,
a
Jerry, you'll have
childhood
to look it
story.
up. You'll have to
Yeah.
look it up.
Okay, look it up. Okay.
So, Jerry, well, let's give Gunter a few more minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
He should. Oh, is that no? He.
So I don't
said
think
he wouldn't-
Jury has met Dave.
We,
Boyer. Oh, you already did that. Okay.
yes,
said
we
hi. Yeah.
I asked David and he said yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, we turned up a couple of minutes early because I don't like, when sometimes Zoom doesn't like or the link is wrong or whatever.
Right. To be safe.
So
but I
who was
did
who was behind Mark D's iPad 3? Who was this?
Mark
That
D.
is. Yeah.
I'm Mark Diamici. How are you?
Ah,
I'm a
hello.
long time highlighter advocate, and the general manager of Data Line Incorporated. So we do app development, and I've been working with David for what, David, 5, 6, 7 years, something
Yeah,
like that.
more like 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark
Nice to
has
meet you.
been an entrepreneur, a CIO, a CTO, and he's done everything over many years. And,
Yes. In other words, he's trying to tell you I'm old.
yeah, not as old as me though. So while we're waiting, I just a quick anecdote. This has nothing to do with anything, but I was talking to a friend of mine who does consulting, project management consulting, and one of the companies he's works for has a high rise in Manhattan as their central office. It's 3/4 empty. And a very large percentage of the people that used to fill those offices don't plan to come back when COVID is over, because what they found is that people are more productive when you don't have to commute 2 hours a day, right? So the question is, what my friend was saying is that some of these cities, these high-rise cities, are going to change dramatically because they're not going to have all those people and all the support services that are funded by those people. And so at any rate, it's kind of, one of those known unknowns about, what the world is going to look like, especially urban environments after things get back to whatever the new normal is.
Yeah, absolutely. Raphael is here, which is nice. Hello.
Hey, Frode, how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, good to see you. We'll start when it's 5 past, in less than a minute. Today we're going to start with Jerry doing a demo for us, and we're just waiting to see a few more seconds if Gunter will join us. He has some things that he needs to do sometimes, which means he cannot always join, but we hope he will. He's a very active member of the community. Okay, he's not here. We are recording. Hope you're all fine with that. And over to you, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to share my screen. Yeah. And I unplug. I'll just start again. I unplug because I want to play some videos. And so let's see it this way. Can anybody see in this screen? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can
All
do.
good.
That's great. So I got way too much prepared, and I had a dummy run in the morning with PalmJit, but for whatever reason, either I haven't received or she hasn't sent the video. But anyhow, I wouldn't have had time to go over it. So just a little bit of background. I think I went to the. I've been following Frode's work and Future of Text probably at least 6 years now, and actually went to the 2017 Future of Text just to really get to know all these great people. So, and actually I only learned about Engelbart about 10 years ago. So that's just a very quick background. But actually I just cut it short. So I've been on this journey very much the same problem, same attitude as Engelbart. So I've been a sort of part-time self-appointed augmentation research center for the project with some people sometimes, or at least for the last 10 years. So that's the background. And in that, I've been sort of slow prototyping lots of projects. It's not even all, but this is just, I had GitHub set up in 2017. So this is just whatever made it to GitLab before I obviously worked locally. But anyhow, just to show there's lots of stuff going on there. And we set up Trailmarks Limited with a friend of mine 4 years ago. And I didn't really realize at the time that actually trademark itself become a sort of technical term which really at the heart of what I'm doing, but I don't have time. That's not what I want to talk about. That's another little thing. This is something with my friend we've created in 2019, 2 years ago, for the outrageous paper track on the Semantic Web Conference. One reviewer deemed it as game changer. The other two didn't quite get any of it, but so I got a rejection, which I wear it with proudly. As you can see, 1,700 people watch it. Are actually in the one of the outlier ventures meeting. I actually met the guy. He's the co-founder of what is it? And yeah, they really forging the metaverse. And he said, well, actually, I got 3 of your papers on my hard drive. So I actually met somebody who actually read this stuff. I think this sets out a really big idea about a kernel for Web3. That's what it was. But really, in the last 2 years, I really think it's coming together. And this is just, okay, forget that, there's just too much there. So just over the weekend, I actually set up on GitHub, because we'll talk about it later. I've gone web native with Fission, which is the same vision that I have, which is sort of local first. What if the browser is the only thing you need? That's a sort of game changer and architecture changer. And only very recently I realized that all it is, and I cannot tell very simply, there's the centralized web, as we all know, location addressing. There is all kinds of attempts at creating the decentralized web. And the really biggest part of it is the interplanetary file system protocol. Anybody doesn't know the IPFS? Anybody ever heard of that? Okay. And who knows what IPFS is? Okay, then I must spend 3 minutes on that, 2 minutes. The whole point is that the web is location addressing. So you say where it is, the URL, some domain name, blah, blah, blah. And as such, it is centrally controlled. You know, any day they can just sort of take away your domain name and you are gone. And there were lots of alternatives over the last 30 years, try to build lots of projects. And this latest one is basically, it's very much like Torrent. It's basically puts the data in small chunks out in the net and finds it that way. So it's content addressing. It really just hashing. It basically uses the same idea that was in Lisp, atoms, that you can have any data. It doesn't matter how big it is. You run a mathematical function, so a hash function, which turns it into a fixed length identifier, and the chances that for these two different data you get the same are sort of astronomically vanishingly small. So that really means you got content addressing, and what I'm trying to do is on top of that layer, I try to create with Trailmarks an intent addressable layer. So it's all human readable, it's really prioritizing the human needs and not the machine's needs. So that's IPFS, and basically what it means is that now there's a chance to find something. Okay, there's the centralized, there is the decentralized, there is the Fediverse and all kinds of things, but there is no mechanism for interpersonal communication which is web native. So in a way, that's all I care about. That's what Fission enables me to do, is because Fission handles all the common problems of authentication and storage. And on top of that, I create this sort of semantic intentful layer. And I call it now the Indiverse with a Y, but the point is that I really needed to create these projects because, of course, this is all about, this is Fission's own, is that it's a common-based peer production of software. So that instead of you having to be a big company to deliver anything, you should be able to create it, because most of the common problems, which most companies spend 80% of their time doing, you don't need that. There is no backend programmers, and any app that you create in Fission is ipso facto interoperable with all the others, because the data is always only with the user. I don't know whether that's meaningful, or you get the significance of that. Okay.
Jerry, before you go
sorry.
further, because there's new people here to you, can you give maybe 20-30 seconds of the high level goal of how you want the end user to be impacted by using this?
What I want is not just the end user, but the edge user, edge developer. That's Fission. So the edge developer is empowered. The end user basically has the freedom of they have full control of their data. And what I'm adding to this is to be able to actually share and collaborate. In your own trust network. So that
if I can just the sort of 10,000 foot view is that this is an approach to solving the economic problem that the current internet has created, where wealth is concentrated in the hands of very few people that basically appropriate everybody else's information. This is trying to fix that problem, as Jared Lanier was writing about in Who Owns the Future.
Yeah, I mean, it basically creates this sort of technological infrastructure which is needed so that out of the network, the participants benefit and not the aggregators.
So can I ask just a quick question on this? There's this whole literature out there and movement around data governance, and people talking about data cooperatives and data unions and other types of data trusts. Does this fit within that?
But it fits in there. It is actually means that it is your data is yours, you fully control, and it's fair, findable, discoverable, interoperable, reusable, everything you ever wanted, and it's fully in your control. That comes out of the architecture. We get it. The whole point is that there is this sort of magic with OBDB, that you can have a database out on the network, which may contain data, or your data encrypted, and it basically acts as a immutable name to something mutable. And with that magic, you can actually arrange that you can set up communication channels, peer-to-peer, peer-to-community without a server. I mean, you understand and it really, very high level, what's changes is instead of you have to sign up to privacy terms when they really just violate all your privacy, you have to come to in a trust network. I invited you invited somebody, and agree on what we share and how we share. So you see, it's a complete flipping of the whole thing, the value. So that very high level, that's what it really means, and it's revolutionary in the end. Of course, another very high level description, if you want, in terms of Xanadu, this is really delivers everything that Tredness dreamed about. First of all, bidirectional meaningful links. You have transclusion, and in fact, you have not only transclusion, but you have a full provenance immutable record of your interchange, which is for when we collaborate is really useful. Instead of there somebody keeping track of all we've done, you could keep track of what we do, between us, what we did, and share that. So that's really revolutionary in that sense. Yeah, can I move on?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I have to rush through, and of course, this slide is here. This is really a Mastodon, you may know, but it's basically a federated alternative to Twitter. So it's very Twitter-like, but the point is that small communities run their own servers. You join a community, but it's federated, so you can actually reach across, and the whole point is that this interpersonal layer obviously has to, and it is the one that you need to communicate and restore the balance, both to the centralized and the federated. Okay, because the problem with the federated universe and the indie web is that you still have to have a server, which is a big investment. It's complex, and just cut out all that complexity. Okay, so and the point is that, okay, I've been working on this architecture thing and this whole thing, technology, but you really need a use case. And I always fancied myself, this effort is that if you think about it, I got a long video about it, but we're not going to have time to watch. You have anybody seen the video on, if you look at the wiki on Wikipedia, there's an amazing video with Ward Cunningham describing how the wiki came about and all that. No. Anyhow, you won't have time for it. But basically, what he did really with Web2, he created the whole collaborative web space by simply sharing the idea of HyperCard on the web, and it let 1,000 wikis bloom. You know, he's still working. You know, he didn't make any money out of it, but what a contribution to the world. So I want to do, that was my ambition, or the way I wanted to describe years ago, that I would like to do something like he did with the wiki for the decentralized web, because I've been tracking this whole decentralized web for the last 5 years and knew that this will day come, which basically means you can have what we wanted 10 years ago, is that there's a global giant knowledge graph out there, which is personally curated. That was the big vision. So I always had this personal knowledge management, which blossoms into a collective intelligence, if you like. And just the other day, I realized that actually, the best little use case for what I'm doing is everybody can have their own personal web native wiki, but such that they can actually collaborate with anybody they choose. So that's the best use case, is to show that and of course, all these collaborative wikis can be federated at some point, or, you know, scale up. But because it makes sense, because the close collaboration that it allows is really stays under a number. You know, you won't have live collaboration more than a dozen or at most 40. Okay, so that's why I actually, what I have already is really part of it is a wiki. So it makes sense to, and the whole point of this, because it's open in terms of architecture, and the Fission enables any other components to interoperate. Anybody coming up with a nice thing which fits in this can actually extend it. So I'm all for completing things, not competing. And actually, I want to make this whole open source so that other people can do their own thing, and assuming that it is common communication infrastructure and data model, everything is available. Okay, so that's that. This is just an old experiment. This is of course underneath there is a graph. Obviously, everything is a graph. You don't need to go into that. And I've just been playing around with it yesterday and said, okay, that if you do outlinks, then it shows I'm playing the dependency graph. So if you just follow the outlinks, everything I have is technology demonstrators. I developed it up to the point where I see that it will be useful, and I was after the formalism, the underlying formalism behind it. So let's play a few more. I don't know why that IndieHub is not coming up. Anyhow, but I did want to get to fission. Okay, and that's web native. Okay, so that just really quick technology demonstrator pointing this out, and of course you can go here and then put that one in the picture and play around. But okay, so that's enough of that. It's just to show, and of course that's the all these now will have to be updated, because this is this was originally a homegrown framework, but now I found Opron, which I won't have time for it, but this is the best capable framework there is. So I'm now developing in Opron, so I will have to upgrade them into Opron. Okay, so I actually got to the end of this this set, and okay, any questions so far?
So just your knowledge graph is tapping into your stored document repository?
Yes, I mean everything is just a mind graph. So in fact, the applications can be developed that way. I mean, I will show you a little example of that, but that was the origin. I mean, eventually the really 10,000 feet view of this, and I found somebody else who believes the same. Software is a conversation. You talk about what you want, how you mean the conversation, and eventually you refine it to the point that all the concepts you introduced are effective concepts. That's really the concept from my thesis, language-oriented programming. I've always been about this whole distinction. Okay, how you go from the formal to the effective,
and how does hypothesis, your social annotation?
Now I bring in hypothesis now. That's the point. That
great.
it's the same thing. I actually built something like a Chrome extension which did the annotations and actually kept track of your browsing on the web as a graph. Then I discovered hypothesis, and it's amazing. So I assume everybody knows hypothesis. So I don't need to go, but it's the whole idea that the point is when you annotate something on the web, okay, whatever, the point of this is that it really starts a conversation. So you can reply to any annotation. Okay, skip that. Let's go here. And of course, hypothesis is open, and everything good you can think about it. It's a non-profit, and John Udell he created this. So it's got an API, so you can actually query the entire thing, and you can query yours or others or public annotations. And so I had that, and you won't have time to use, but you must check out. This is Dan Whaley, founder of Hypothesis. Let's see if it works.
You see, the thing itself, the original document, wherever it lies, is the real estate, the most important battleground where the war of ideas must be fought. We need a solution designed to be open, interoperable, and ubiquitous from the beginning, that isn't built behind closed doors and hosted by companies with the ability to unilaterally sell off our data and turn off our service when things aren't quite going their way.
Okay, so that's my mission too. Okay, and the annotation is really critical, because this is where you anchor your learning, and the whole point is that you can build your own learning path and then have conversations, and in that conversation you should be able to share the relevant subgraph, relevant neighborhood. That's the name of the game. Okay, and we're gonna skip this one, but I love this. This is what triggered this whole wiki, in the wiki, because I went to preparing for this talk. I dug out this Walt Conigan's talk, and And actually, this is an application that Dan Whaley himself developed, which basically enables you to annotate YouTube videos. Okay,
Mhm.
and so I went to here, and then I found that he already annotated the very passage that I was interested in. This. Okay, we won't have time to listen to it. So I replied to that. Okay, and then he replied with this. So I love this. This is the Wikilink of the Wikilink. Just name it, and it's created so powerful. It should be everywhere and in everything. And that's exactly what triggered this whole. This is what I'm doing now. Is that okay? You can have any annotation, whatever it is, whether it's World Brain Highlighter, whatever. You should be able to personally interoperate with. But the point is that the very same logic of you should be able to highlight in my wiki any passage, and through that highlight you can actually transclude that bit in your place. You can really do what Google does with the Commons, but in this way that as soon as you take a passage to work on, you own it, and we really should be able to exchange information that way. So it's really taking this whole idea of annotation is actually, it goes deep. It's not just what's out there. And the real value of this is that you can actually have all the benefits of annotation, which just clearly help you summarize and deeply rearrange and everything, nuggets of information, and make it applicable in a world which is dynamic. So with transclusion, you can actually achieve that. I don't know whether it's very important that I get across it, but if I don't, then I'm not articulating it well. Anybody having questions on that?
So when we talk about transclusion, does that require that, let's say you're in a source, it's pointing at information, an annotation in another source, is transclusion simply a link to that
No,
source, or do you actually bring
So
the information
the point is
in?
yeah, very important.
Right.
If suppose we're already connected, so we have this magic connection, and I invited you to collaborate in my space, and vice versa it works. So if you look at one of my things I've just writing, and want to do anything with any part of it, you highlight that bit, then you take that text into your space and just leave a link, a communication channel link reference to mine. So suddenly my text is just like I do actually in personal knowledge work. I have a fragment somewhere there. I'm not copying it over there. I want to be able to reuse anything. Everything is high resolution addressable. I want to use something created in another context and having links between the two. So so it works even in the personal space. Transclusion works, but the only difference is when we collaborate, then that bit is now coming from your work, okay, and eventually consistent way. Yes. Hello.
Looks like his connection dropped. Go ahead and keep moving. He'll come back in, I'm sure.
Yuri, I've got a question. I'm a bit confused.
Yes.
I mean, sort of, because what's just described didn't sound to me like transclusion, but more like inclusion. I mean, you're not linking. So for instance, if the source text changes, what happens at my end?
No, the point is that as soon as you said, okay, I taken this, okay.
Yeah.
And if somebody you can actually fork, you can have then this paragraph, this is the original, this is another one, it's like an edit decision list. So suddenly, instead of just having one paragraph, you have a whole alternatives of whoever is taking a copy, and you pick whichever you want, but you should be able to have access to any one of them.
Okay, that's fine. It's just not how I understand transclusion, which is actually formally narrower than that.
Well, I just double checked with Ted Nelson. he's basically saying the point is that transclusion is that you incorporating part of something from another source, okay, but it's really retaining. So what you see is what's in that context, in your context, but it's there.
Yeah, sorry, that's exactly my understanding. It's just more of, so for instance, a lot of things do transclusion now where if the source changes, so in other words, they link to the current version of the source, not to the source, because Ted was far more precise that you link to that particular edit, and the whole point.
Yes. The point is that every source, there are no documents. Everything is virtual, and it's part of a deep rearrangement of fragments. So for every fragment where there is an alternative view, it's clearly highlighted there is an alternative to that. When you want to read it, you may have choice of which one to consider or which one to. But so there's that, obviously there's a concept of you can publish something static, but basically when it's working, everything is live, and that's again is possible because of the peer-to-community communicate thing. And also it's underneath, if you know this is CRDT. So eventual consistency of everybody eventually saying the same collection of alternatives and the same thing is guaranteed.
Well, when you say no alternatives, do you mean sequential edits of the same thing, or do you mean because
no, not sequential edits of the same? It's basically saying when I said, okay, I picked a paragraph in your thing and I said, okay, I'm going to modify it or want to comment on it or whatever. If I want to modify it, I actually fork that little thing. I create an alternative node. That's itself a node, and just say that this is not just in transclusion from here, but it's an alternative transclusion. Okay. And adding that, so basically it's adding to the, suddenly it's not the text, it's a fragment of edit control list. Which is actually in the document.
Okay, so it's not transcluding from source, which was sort of Ted's original idea, where effectively you're all reading the same canonical source. That's the only confusion in my mind. I sort of get what's going on.
No. This is the whole point, that the very idea of document is gone. Every fragment is always
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see where the document comes in. What I mean is that if you take part of something, be it a fragment, be it a document, be it whatever, my understanding of the original, it's just that transclusion gets so used and misused by different people with good intent that it's sometimes difficult to just track what's going on. So that's all I was trying to do with. Because, in other words, when I look at the thing that I forked from you, the thing that I'm looking at doesn't change if you subsequently change that source. So if you were to edit the thing that I transcluded.
No, you don't. I'm not editing the bit that you transcluded.
No, sorry, you might. No.
I edit my version.
Sorry, let me explain better. You write something. I think that's interesting. I transclude it.
Yeah.
You the next day come back and you alter that thing. So there's now a later edit, a later version of it. Do I see your current version, or do I see the one that I forked? This is where it gets confusing, because both work and both have use cases. The linking to the original source is Ted's original version of it. Most people use it the other way around. So if you look at something like Wikipedia, it actually just transcludes whatever is pointed to at the end. So not what you originally linked to, but the latest edit of it.
No, okay. My variant is that I had an alternative version of your stuff here, but I got a transparent link back, and I actually get notifications if you change any of the bits that I get. So you basically, if at the very point of you transcluding something, with that you signed up to a PubSub message if the original changes.
Okay, so I see what I forked, and I'm informed if there are changes to it. That's what I'm hearing you say,
Yeah.
which all makes sense. Forgive me asking the question. As I say,
No,
it's
thank
just
you,
that
because
the
it's
term
very
gets a bit loose sometimes.
This is the whole point of this discussion from my point of view, is to clarify that, because the article, this is why software is a conversation. Before you go and code it, have that deep conversation.
So-
The crucial part is that I want this conclusion. Everything is symmetric, bidirectional. There is no master. Okay, there is an original originator of something, but then it's part of a conversation. Okay,
Well,
and
there
at
is a
some
master
point-
because
Sorry?
the original author, that is the master. I mean, that was the
Yes,
whole
it
point of
is.
Ted's thesis was that you have,
Yes,
that is
yes.
the canonical source for everyone.
Yes,
ever.
no, it's not canonical. It's just part of the provenance. So there's a full verifiable provenance of everything that's happening in that conversation.
Yes, and the original provenance is the source. I think we're getting around in circles. isn't it?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
let me
Yeah.
just jump in here for a second. So I am working on something I call social reading etiquette.
Yeah.
And part of that etiquette is, if you're going to annotate something, don't annotate, an obscure piece of text. Give something meaningful so people see what it, right, you're pointing at. And don't give some kind of cryptic comment that only makes sense to you.
Yeah.
This is a publication.
Yeah.
The issue you're raising, Dave has had to deal with our High Trail. So you have this idea of a session, an annotation session, right?
Yeah.
And you say, oh, that comment and that fragment are of interest to me, and you move it to the right margin, right? So we said, okay, once it's in the right margin, that means at some point you had permission to access
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If the owner of the session or the comment that you moved over deletes it, it doesn't get deleted from your session,
Exactly.
because we have an etiquette rule, the sanctity of the High Trail.
Yeah.
The thing that you're raising, which we haven't, and Dave haven't completely decided on, is if I edit my my comment and you've got it in your High Trail, you just suggested a good solution. Yours doesn't change, but you get a notification. Hey, do you want to
Exactly.
update to the latest?
Exactly.
Dave, did
That's
you want to
exactly.
comment on that?
Yeah, that's exactly
Right.
what I described. Yes,
Oh.
that's the whole point. That once
No, I
you,
like that. That's a good solution. But
once
Dave,
you
go
got that, once you got the text, whoever created it.
Yeah.
Once you start the conversation, it's always then it suddenly becomes a two-way thing.
right.
And at some point you can decide to merge the two and come up with and agree that this is now a better version. But the point is, this is very important, that this is possible. This is from the architecture and the very communication channel, because it's IPFS and everything, and you really got the cryptographic. It's a blockchain of some kind, a chain of hashes. So you can always go back and verify that indeed this is what taken place, and that's very important because then if you like, if you think at not doing this, somebody will hopefully will do it. Is then at that point you have a resource to actually decide, okay, how much is your contribution, how much is that, at least in terms of bits, and then we can have a value combination. And actually, in the use of the material that you create, its value will percolate. Okay. So but yeah.
Jerry, could I briefly, so Dave Boyer, I'm with Highlighter. When we triangulated this problem, the most important thing to me is that what's happening in conversation is we're engaging in a sense-making effort.
Absolutely.
All right, there's a transfer of frame,
Yes.
but there's this fundamental principle in transfer is the verification, right? It isn't just that something was sent, there's then a return, there's some kind of a cycling back through to validate that what was intended actually arrived on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the bearing of meaning across
Yeah.
the channel. So in order to do so with human beings, we don't just send messages directly to each other. There's an additional component that's present, which is that we are using some kind of externally verifiable referent to triangulate that we've conveyed meaning, right? And so the most important part of this process of sense making for me was that what I referred to did not change. Because if what I referred to changed underneath me, the meaning I was trying to convey could not be triangulated.
Sorry, this is the point.
Yeah, I know it is.
In
And what I
your,
was saying-
yeah,
I know, I absolutely know that's the point of what you're saying. The point that we did is we elevated that to the point where this is why documents, pulling documents and holding them, scraping them in some mechanism to whatever extent we can became really a primary thing, is that it is very hard to construct new meaning if I'm not building on a stable foundation.
yeah. I mean,
And so holding the documents,
no,
holding people's observations and storing them, allowing them to build from them, but making sure we have these concrete pieces that if we do a composition, they're not changing underneath us. Otherwise, can I truly convey the meaning?
No, I agree. But this is the point. This is the beauty of IPFS, that it's trust but verify. So the whole point is that it is, you know, if you chosen any specific hashed version of it, first of all, you have it. You can verify that it hasn't been tampered with. Okay. So this idea that's why I say that this is really.
That's what source code repositories are for developers.
It's exactly. It really is like that. You know what branch it is, and it's very and it is really the most important thing is that this is why this kind of annotating material works for things which are in change, because you actually tracking the change, because you actually part of the change. And you always link it to and what anybody doing anything with yours is linked to the, so both contexts, the provenance is fully maintained, and every event or any change is also, it's like, if you think about it, it's the whole interaction is a micro commit in terms of Git, okay? And you can even should be able to say, well, actually, yes, you should have a comment, an accept comment. Yes, I use your thing, and now it is now lifted back into this this story, and that you can actually articulate at the meta level, articulate why is that so. And in fact, the whole point of trademarks is don't just write something, always find a way of articulating what's the intent, what is it for, whatever. There's one other thing which I don't have time to go into, but I've done all that. That of course, all this conversation supposed to be anchored in notable things. So I actually built a Wikidata Explorer, so I can actually anchor anything, any known thing in known entities, so we know what we're doing. But the whole point is that 90% of our conversation, especially we are at the edge of the knowledge, are all yet not notable things. You know, it may be in 10, 15 years time, you know, it will be established. And just because you talked about network science, you know, one day there will be a network science, you know. Okay, so yeah, I'm very glad for this discussion, because this is critical to the next phase. Oh yeah. Okay, so skip all that. We don't forget that. And this is sort of my version of the same thing. And you can search here, so I can search for B2B. I know I just been annotating with things like that. So this is demo now. Come on. Okay, I don't know what happened here. I reloaded. That's for that was sure. I don't know. Okay, just search like that. I don't know what happened. I didn't search for it because it should say, okay, let's search for looks like it maybe I'm not indexing that, or not getting that. Okay, so just say for business. Okay, so this should be the B2B. Okay, now move on. Okay, forget that one. So now I don't know. I think you have to do
Hey,
this.
hey, Jerry, I think it was B2C.
Yeah, B2C. Yes, sorry. Yes, yes. Okay. This is just yeah, trying to rush. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so I just done this search, and I just reload this. This is supposed to take all that. Okay. Okay. It should be view, not graph. That's what was wrong. Okay. Now it should be a business thing here somewhere. Anyhow. Anybody found it yet? Never mind.
Yes, top left-hand corner, one across from that one. Looks as though I think there's business somewhere in that. All right, so one next to it. No, other side, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Okay.
Jerry, on that point, so Gunther is working at something related to this, of course. And just having a look at that interface issue of having a graph and you can't find something, that's of course a huge user interaction issue. So that is something we would love to talk to you about further, how to not
Yeah,
get-
okay. I mean, this is in some sense is I think that I show you in a second. In certain situations, you want this. Obviously, it is not that. This is just a demo to show. Yes, it is
Oh, yeah,
turning.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I know your work very well, and I love your work. I'm just saying this could be one of those interesting discussions. That's all.
No. This is critical, but my take is that you really need many ways of doing it. You know, and anyhow, I won't have time to go into the, but this is why Treamarks matters, because it really makes it very easy to do. But anyhow, so okay, I done that. I've been there. Now comes this is what Treamarks. This was Frode. This is something I did while we worked on the Doc 50. And basically, the interesting thing about this is if you like the single version, personal version of integrating with annotations. Okay, and given this, in the hub, this little magic component, which is an open source way of doing things, I can turn this into a collaborative, interpersonal annotation and everything too. So that, but the other interesting thing, I don't have time to go into this, is actually being generated from a graph. So you could actually, I've done 7 years ago, I had a student, and we actually did, we created morphic interfaces and applications out of a graph, sort of graphical description of the knowledge behind the app. So that is possible. Okay, now really going to the real part of the demo. So this is an old version, at least the V code. I don't know what it is. It should say, 25th of February. So I haven't updated it for a long time. But this is really my Trailhub pilot, which has all these components in one thing. It actually very clever because it's using this Operon PWA. So one of the main components, which is the editor, is actually from a completely self-contained other PWA, and it gets integrated. So this is really a test of, so obviously I'm developing these parallels, but you could actually have all these components in their own repositories and develop independently and deploy together. So that's, and this is that version, and I have this one looks eerily similar because it's the same thing, but this one is really for the Mindrive side. So that's just that capability, as I said, which is really Fission plus Mindgraph turn your hierarchy into a graph and back. It's a round trip. I've done that round trip with Google Docs, and this is much better. In fact, if you think about it, that playing with the annotations and the transclusion is basically doing in eventually consistent, not real time, although it could be done real time, what you do in Google Docs when you go and comments on things or make suggestions, except that here you can create channels, a whole graph of channels. So you, instead of you having to designate a document, okay, now we're working on that document, every document is interoperable with that virtual document. Every piece of thing you work is actually one link away from any other. So there's no, this whole notion of, okay, just before I work, I limit my scope. That's no longer applicable. Anyhow, so this is just a little demo. I'm not gonna just to show that it's live. I say new, okay. Never mind. Okay, so there you are. So I just saved that. Okay, it's there. It takes. Oh, it's in alphabetic listing. Sorry, it's here. Okay, so that just showing, and of course this is now all in IPFS. Hopefully it will work. I'm not sure if it will. No, it doesn't. Anyhow, it is okay. And now just to show Fission, this is Fission Drive. So Fission is all little drive application. So this is really demonstrating the real value of Fission. It's not because it's a drive. It's basically everything is stored in this. So you basically got a POSIX standard file system API. That's all you have. That's all you have. Out of that, everybody builds their own hierarchical structure or whatever. So I just put it into the public, and I got these screenshots, and I thought it was. Oh, sorry, I probably need to reload. Yeah, and it's there. And now you can copy, you can see the link to file, and that really show this is now on IPFS. Okay. Now think about the sheer power of this. This is okay. Forget this is the Mindraft part, and I'm going to here. This is now I go here. Okay, it's loading, but I'm authenticating against my own device. Okay, and once a browser is authenticated, you could link to others. I already authenticated, so it just reminds me that you want to give this application. So you give access right to the application to your data, not the other way around. Okay, can you see this flipping? It's the application comes to you and ask you, are you sure you want me to do this for you? Instead of you going somewhere, giving your freedom, giving your identity, giving your data somewhere just because it does something useful for you. That's complete revolution, really. Okay, so it says Trailmarks, TrailHub, and every application will have their own designated area, and then you can read about it and accept it. Okay. Oh, sorry. This is an old account.
We're running a little bit low on time. I was wondering specifically, Gunther, if you have any questions.
Well, not at the moment, so there are not to process, but I definitely agree that we should talk about, we have some layouting issues that you have mentioned with
what you should, sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant layouting issues.
Oh, no, this is all just slow prototyping, just throwing there just to get the capability
No,
going.
Jerry, he was referring to earlier, but still, it is something we've discussed, and I know what you're doing. There's a huge amount of technology, and that's all very good. But you know, just see how things can integrate on the surface level and in the background. You know.
No, no, no. I mean, it's very critical. It's very critical. I'm not saying that. It just, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is my little editor, and this is where I'm playing with it. So anyhow, yeah,
So Jerry,
yeah.
and I don't, maybe this is for another different meeting, but you've worked with Hypothesis for many years and have integrated it into your system, and you were saying, you know, so the way I look at this is there's still a missing piece when it comes to online annotation systems, which is the ability to move from sharing annotations, creating annotations, to creating narratives, knowledge in pieces. And
Yeah,
that's where Highlighter comes in. And the question of being able to suck in the data, the pieces from all kinds of sources with the kind of system you're talking about, where the ownership is not, you know, where there's a kind of personal accountability for what's out there. But you had said that the integration, being able to pull data in to like Highlighter to do that next step, which is the creation of meaningful narratives from, because my experience with online annotation systems is that at the end of the day, yes, you share, but you still end up with a now what, so what problem when it comes to, okay, how do I make sense of all of these pieces in some kind of integrated way that's going to lead to some insights and useful knowledge?
This is the answer to that question. This is where TrailHub comes in. This is the way, you know, it's really Rome-like, but it workflow like. It's basically the idea is that I don't know why it's gone sleepy. Anyhow, so the idea is that you do want to you do want to be able to articulate in a flow. I don't know what. Yes, okay. It's just okay. So it's really I take the view. It's like workflow Rome. I think that as you see, this notation is that anything with hyphen something is a trail mark that basically allow you to give some keywords to indicate your intent. And of course, in a metagraph, you can actually elaborate what it means. You get some target. This is if you like in RDF, this is a predicate object and the subject is wherever you are, okay? And then get a list where you can play the same game recursively, okay? So that's my way of creating sense, okay? And out of this, I should be able to link to annotations and actually put these kind of trail marks in the annotation as plain text. And when I integrating it in, I know that I'm creating the right graph nodes out of that. Okay, so that's how I square the circle in terms of, okay, here's the annotation, here's the text, and now you create your own text. And of course, it's all with wiki links, wiki-like links, and transclusion. And I actually have a 4-year-old project where I actually done all that. So playing the game of edit lists and deep rearranging, because that's the next level, where you should be able to just drag any piece from any compatible document, make it part of yours, either transcluded or whatever. Yes. That I agree. That is and at that level, clearly UI matters. Okay, but I built and tested out with that it scales and everything, so that it, you know, there's no point producing a beautiful UI. I mean, the beautiful example is Rome Research itself, and many of them. The actual data model is not right. There is a concept of the block, which is just the wrong concept. So if you got to get your concepts right, then semantics can take care of itself. If at the core, and the other problem with Rome is that it's got this whole idea of a data log. which is the same problem even with Smalltalk. It's a huge image. The whole point of this way of doing it with IPFS, my graph can be infinite or interplanetary, because at any point, all I want, okay, I got the idea of a node and I get the neighborhood. Okay, I'm not sucking in everything. I only suck in what I actually look at. This is the same point that Nazon said. Why should I buy a 700-page book when all I want is 3 paragraphs?
Mhm.
That really solved even this scholarly problem. You know, pay as you go. Don't. I mean, I have to pay. Yeah. Sorry. That's.
I was about to say we're out of time, but your last comment is a bit provocative that I don't agree with. If you are a scholar, read the damn book.
Hello,
Dale, you want to mute?
I'm Zach.
Right.
Okay, I'll come pick it up sometime this afternoon.
No,
You can mute him on the list.
All right, he's back. That's all right.
yeah, no.
All right, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, but good. Sorry, Jerry. The point is, as academics, we're expected to have read the books. If you're talking about knowledge work in general and sense making,
That's what I meant. Knowledge work in general. Yes.
Yeah. But also, I really don't think we should encourage, just going in and taking a snippet to support your point and moving on. However, the cost of academic materials and books is a related issue, no question. But that was a very good demo. We are slightly over time. On Friday, we'll go back to normal general chat, but of course we can have some update to this. Raphael is here for the first time today, which is nice. A few other people. So we will, this was a special demo day, which we hope to have more of, because the more specific stuff we do is good. And you're also invited to demo should you wish. Any final questions to Jerry that are not too lengthy?
Yeah, just quick, Jerry, would it make sense to set up a Zoom meeting? to
Yes,
talk
yes,
further?
yes,
Yeah.
please. I realize that this won't be enough, and I don't even get anywhere near to the technical things, but at least it sets that try to strike a balance between yeah.
If you guys want to go on a little longer now, I have another commitment, but I'm happy to leave the channel open for longer if
Well, Mark and I were gonna have a conversation, so.
Yes,
if-
sure. And just
So-
you can reach me, mail or anything. Yes.
Yeah,
and thank you
okay.
very much.
Great,
Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the recording, because that I learn a lot from that. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
excellent. Okay, well, I hope to see all of you on Friday, where we can go through other exciting things. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for
thanks.
now.
Thank you
And,
for the presentation, Gary.
Yeah, so Dale and Mark,